Watching Kyle's unboxing videos again?
Yeah, he always finds the coolest... No way! A robot dog? Gotta ask where he got it.
Or use your Samsung Galaxy S24 Ultra. Just draw a circle around the dog on your screen, and it shows you where to buy it right in the app.
Whoa, I just learned a new trick. And that for once, I beat Kyle to the next big thing.
Circle it, find it with the new Galaxy S24 Ultra and circle the search with Google. Get yours now at Samsung.com. Internet connection required. Results may vary based on visuals.
Bare naked, bare naked, bare naked, ABCs. Welcome to the Bare Naked ABCs, where we discuss every Bare Naked Lady song from 7 to Y. And tonight we're not discussing any Bare Naked Lady song specifically. Instead, we are taking a deep dive into talking to two people who have had extensive contact with the Bare Naked Ladies themselves and have done an amount of work with them. I'm extremely excited because these people that we are talking to tonight. Well, I will reference back to last week's discussion, where last week both Heidi and Aaron in the middle of the episode started geeking out about these people, because these are the people that did the work on the Pollywog in a Bog video. We love the video so much, and luckily we were able to reach out and find Noah Ginex and Erica Reid. Noah did the puppets and made the puppets, as well as controlled the puppet for, I believe, Steve, Ed, the Pollywog, and
I was everybody. Yeah.
And Erica was the producer behind the scenes. Is that correct?
Yeah. We did it.
Yep. Yeah, we did it. It was us.
Exciting.
And we are very excited
one of my
to talk
proudest
to you
moments.
not only about that adventure, but also a lot of the other stuff that in diving down the deep rabbit hole of your work we found, and we're like, oh my gosh, we really need to talk to these guys. They are like gods to us at this point. Growing up on Jim Henson, like anyone that can do puppetry work, and as a person that, like, Avenue Q is definitively my favorite Broadway play of all time. And
I'm curious about that too, because I know that the puppets were very, very different than John Tartaglia's work and the original. So I'm really curious to talk about that.
Sure, yeah.
Obsessed with John Tartaglia, and I'm a musical theater dork, very much so. Very big fan of Avenue Q, and I'm so like your vision in changing the puppet design and idea to take it to the other form. And I read an article that says basically you that allowed the production to forge its own path. So I got lots of questions. I'm sorry, Tracy.
No, I am trying not to geek out myself right now. So it is my pleasure to introduce Noah Ginex and Erica Reid.
Yay! And there was much rejoicing.
Thank you for being here. Thank you
for
having me.
Thank you for having us.
I just had a Bob's Burgers moment.
It's funny because the reason I'm connected to this video at all is because I was an obsessive Bare Naked Ladies fan for years before this ever happened. And Erica can attest to that. Like, basically, I emailed the band and said, hey, do you guys need a video? I do puppets. And they had done the Winded Up fan video, like the air guitar like contest or whatever. And I submitted for that, filming like puppets that I had built. This is my cat. And just submitted that because I was like, puppets are my air guitar. And that got in. And so like, it made it into the final fan video, and that was real. I just used that as a doorway to email. I was talking to Erica's husband at the time, and I said, "What do you think I should? Do you think I should email the band or like what?" And he literally just said, what's the worst that could happen?
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
they say
Go
no.
for it.
And so I emailed this address I had at Network that it was basically like, hey, I have this idea for this video. What do you think? And could you pass this on to the band? And 10 minutes later, like I was getting ready to leave my apartment, and 10 minutes later, this email came back from Adam Smith that just said, I'm not going to pass this on to anybody because I'm their manager. And I think this is a great idea. And at that point, I was screwed.
Did you just freak out and scream like a little 12-year-old girl? Like,
Yeah. I was like,
excitement and panic.
Yeah, exactly. That was
like, oh crap, we are going to do this.
Right.
Oh my God.
Like, oh no, I have to do it. Like I spent the next, I don't know, 5 weeks or something building puppets for it. And I'm sure that like I'm skipping way ahead, but, and then like the week before we shot the video, Erica and I went out to the suburbs of Chicago because Bare Naked Ladies was coming through and playing Borders, which tells you of the time it was. And
Borders, yeah.
And
that would be the snack time trip.
The snack time tour, yeah. And so we went and saw the show and then met them afterwards in the stock room of the Borders, and you can cut this part out if you want to, but like Erica said to me afterwards when we went to lunch, she was like, "Did y'all notice how Ty, Ed, Jim, and Kevin were on one side of the room, and Steve and his girlfriend were on the other side of the room?"
Oh yeah.
And I had no idea, Anyway, so
nice catch.
So we went and met them in the stockroom of the Borders, and they were like, making fun of each other and making fun of the puppets, and like it was just exactly how you would expect them to be, and I think Tyler had a couple notes about his puppet, which he like wanted the sunglasses changed and wanted a different shirt, and then Ed took that opportunity to be. I have them here. To like he said, yeah, and could you like just remove all the fur from like the top of his head here because Ty was going very bald at the moment.
Oh my goodness. That's great.
And they were just like making fun of each other, and like it was a bare naked love fest, really. And the next weekend we shot the video like in a 20-hour marathon session. Like we got there at like
that's amazing.
That must have been intense. Yeah,
6 o'clock in the morning and left. I don't know, at like 3 the next day or something.
That's crazy.
I don't know if you've listened, probably not, but if you have a chance to listen to our recording about Pollywog in a Bog, we talk a lot about the video, which is why then we reached out because we were so excited and we love the video so much. How long did it take you to mock up the what each character was? Like how like did you just say Steve's an owl? And Jim's a fox.
Funnily enough,
Jim is a fox.
Steve was Steve was probably the first one. Let's see, I think I have the original sketch.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
While you look for it, I'm going to jump in and say
please do.
A great thing. I've also was a Geeked Out fan since high school. I grew up in Mississippi, but my dad worked in satellite dishes, and so we were able to get much music. So my brother and I were like, from the jump, like obsessed. So we saw them in concert, all sorts of stuff. So getting to meet them and work with them in a professional manner was such a surreal moment in life where you're like, how fortunate am I that I get to have, like, this is where my life is, that we get to have this experience. And the thing that I most remember about the Border stockroom meeting was how excited they all were to see the actual puppets of themselves and to like play with them and put them on and get to like interact with them, because in that moment, instead of us being fans for them, like we were equal professionals. They were in awe of Noah's skills, which I'm always in awe of his skills. And we, obviously were lifelong fans. So it was a beautiful moment of collaboration.
That's amazing.
And like, I'm so glad that you were there to like observe that from the outside, because like I had
just blacked out.
zero memory of that. Like I remember talking to them, and I remember like turning around because like I heard Steve behind me just say, "Something's wrong with my puppet," and I turned around and like the owl was like laying dead in Steve's arms just because he was just being a nerd, like I will say I had met them at like an autograph signing at like Mix Fest in like 2000 or something, which is a good thing because
I was at that show. I was there. Yeah.
I don't know if y'all have met them in person, but like
Tyler signed my boobs. I mean, he signed my T-shirt, but
sure.
On the boob area. Yeah.
Like being in front of Ed and seeing his eyes, I don't know that I would have been able to like finish a sentence. And like, because his eyes are just like so perfectly blue, which is the first thing I noticed about him. But I can't even remember what I was saying now. Ed's eyes just transfixed me.
It was an overwhelming experience because
it was
like we had our own personal VIP treatment.
Yeah.
Meet and greet, but in a way to say, oh, look, here's this thing that we get to do. Your album is amazing, and we're going to do this thing for you, and we're going to see how it turns out. And I mean, I get teary every time I watch the video. It's like, honestly, one of the things that I'm most like in awe that I got to be a part of, like in my career, which has lots of things. I've had a great career. And then I'm like, every now and then I'll be like, oh, right, we flipping made a Barenaked Ladies video, like legit. Wild.
And it is a amazing video. Like watching it numerous times this week. I mean, my kids grew up watching this video. And matter of fact, last week when I put it on for my daughter to do her ranking of the song, she's like, "Oh, I remember this video. We watched it all the time when we were little."
My daughter was born about 5 years after we did the video, and to this day, anytime we pass, like I have countless videos of her when she was very small. Anytime we would pass like a cut off tree or something, she would run up to it and jump on it and go, whibbit, the tadpole zip. Like she would just do the Ed rap standing on this stump.
That's adorable.
And the other thing is like, we were there for 20 hours straight. Like that was a long haul.
Yeah.
And nobody, there was like a, 35 person crew, something like that. Not one person got tired of that song, like for the entire shoot. And, Jimmy C can write like a good hook of a song that doesn't get on your nerves. Like, because you're working in production and working in, especially children's entertainment sometimes, like the songs are just, like you want to find anywhere else to be, but like, Jim and
it's a
Ed,
great song. It holds up.
It wasn't just the 20 hours that day too, because I mean, there's
absolutely
so much editing and animation that Noah did after. So that was just months of you listening to the song over and over again. A cool thing. So my husband Fuzzy was also a producer on the shoot, and so we Noah sort of used our home as his work studio for the editing of it, which was great. I mean, we loved it. So we got to like see every little change that he would make each day, and I mean, you really spent a lifetime with that song, because from start to finish of production to when it was done was a good chunk of change.
And like there would be there would be moments where, because I lived at their house basically for like, a month and a half, and I had such tunnel vision, like on this thing. Like I think Jim calls it like being in the jungle or something. On like I had such tunnel vision that sometimes and much to their credit, I'm so glad they did this. But like Fuzzy and Erica would come home and they would just look at me just like, go away for like 4 hours or whatever, just because like it was their house,
Or be like, it's time for you to eat now. We made you this dinner.
Yeah. Or like I would fall asleep in the chair and Fuzzy would literally like pick me up and like move me to he's like, okay, you can lay down, and like then he would take over editing for a couple hours or whatever, And like I remember endless hours of sitting there. Like I think like Erica was binging Sex and the City at that point or something.
Yeah, I was going through a heavy grief period because my father had recently died, and actually we recorded the video on my parents' anniversary, May 17th. So it was 14 years ago on May 17th, and so that was my coping mechanism. It was great to have a beloved friend always around in the house, and that's how I groved. So I mostly grieved was eating cake and watching the entire Sex and the City series, which was great. And then I got Fuzzy and Noah addicted to it as well.
Yeah.
They hated it at first, and then by the end they were like, "Are you gonna watch it tonight?"
I love this story so much because you think that they would like the idea that you were both huge fans, since the early 90s.
Yeah.
And then you reaching out and them saying, yeah, that's a great idea. Like, I didn't know that's the way it happened.
Yeah.
That's even more beautiful for me. And their response and you're always concerned when you meet, I'm not going to go as far to say heroes, but people you really admire, love their work so much. And when you meet them, they could either be not what you expect.
Right.
And I'm so glad to hear that that's not what you've experienced.
I listened to them talking and giving interview, like literally so much through my formative years because I was pretty sheltered growing up. And then when I was 18, I went over to my best friend's house and he introduced me to Bare Naked Ladies, and we would have sleepovers, and I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. He gave me a second life through his friendship and through this band. And I have a semi-permanent Canadian accent because I listen to so much. I do. And I listen to so much. Like if somebody were to ask me what my favorite Bare Naked Ladies album was, I would say it's probably either Massey Hall from April of '93 or the WDET when they played on the radio where Tyler was playing the trash can, it literally they were my life for a long time.
I do an homage to the Bare Naked Ladies every time I perform on stage with my band. And it's really subtle, and I'm probably the only one who knows that I do it. But I'm a DJ of an all-female Beastie Boys tribute. We're called She's Crafty. And awesome. Whenever, it's pretty great. Whenever
you're like my favorite person. We're not met yet. I rewrote No Sleep Till Brooklyn.
Is that connected to the song that is on?
You and I are going to be best friends. I'm going to
great. I'm in.
I'm going to live in your house for a while. No, it did. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I'll make sure you're properly fed and hydrated.
Is that connected to the song that's on the website for you, Noah? The Beastie Boys,
No, you know
song?
What? That we'll get to that in a minute. Erica, tell your story.
Oh, I was just gonna say, anytime that they reference, so my initials are ENRG, so I'm DJ Energy. So whenever the Beastie Boys love to shout out to all their different DJs, whenever they do, I always try to be drinking water or eating something. Whenever the camera would be on me in my big solo, and it just tickles me.
It's from the Enid drum solo, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh.
That's fantastic.
Only a deep dive fan would get that reference.
And like, and because they did. So yes, it is. Like your question was like, is it somehow tied to like the thing on the website? Like the only reason I know "Shake Your Rump" as well as I do is because Bare Naked Ladies covered it so much, and like there's that the line where I think it's Andy says, "Is your name Oscar Goldman?" and and Ed just goes, "No, my name's Clarence." Like it's. I didn't know that the actual lyric was like them just saying Michael Diamond's name, like because I learned it from the Bare Naked Ladies, with Tyler doing that crazy
Tyler doing near and far. That he was meant to be a puppet. Like he was just meant to be a puppet.
It's
going
one of my favorite little things that they did. Near far, he should be a puppet.
Well, if I can circle back to Heidi's initial query, and no, believe me,
no, because we will get lost in tangents,
off tangents. I am totally fine because I'm loving every minute of this. But I did want to ask Noah. So like, you had mentioned that some of the band members had like some feedback based on the puppets when they first saw them. Were they involved at all in the initial creative process, or was it totally on you to be like, oh, he's definitely a fox, or oh, he's definitely an owl?
So yeah, let me if I can share for a second. Let's see.
Hold on one second.
Sharing ability?
Yeah, I can do that. Give me a minute.
And you have one of them up behind you there, Tracy. But
oh yeah.
So I should say that another person that was heavily involved in the creation of the video is one of my best friends, a puppeteer from Phoenix named Stacy Gordon, who we met earlier that year, and I was talking to her all the time, and I pitched the idea to her after I talked to Fuzzy, and I initially wanted them all to be, once I learned what song we were going to be doing, I said to her, maybe they should all be frogs. And so I had this idea to make them all frogs, but I think it was her idea that was like, you should probably just do like different, animals. So cool. And so this was the first drawing that I did, and they didn't really vary too far from.
Yeah, I can definitely see
from this design.
My gosh,
that's adorable.
I'm noticing in this first design.
That's by the amazing.
Way, they are so incredibly close to this picture. Is amazing. But
the owl
what
looks
I do
just
notice,
like Steven. I really captured him.
I do notice in looking at this that Andy's not in there, and I thought it was really cool, by the way, that you made Andy another fox, of course.
Well. So Andy, in listening to the song, I emailed Adam and I said, "Hey, there's like a steel drum in there. Who is playing that? Should I make a puppet of that?" And in my head, I was like, "Let it be Andy. Please let it be Andy." And then he emailed back. He's like, "That's Jim's brother, Andy Cregan." And I'm like, "Yeah," because I had already met Jim and Andy when Brothers Cregan came through Chicago years earlier. And this is another, tangent on a tangent. I was late to their show because I had a show of my own, and I came and after, they were hanging out in the bar afterwards, and I said, I had a show previous to this. I'm sorry that I'm late. I use one of your songs in the house music for our show. And they were more interested in whatever show it was that I was doing than they were in like just the two of them. Like Andy Cregan is like, I choke up talking about him because he's just, we
got
amazing.
to have him on the show a few weeks ago, or about a couple months ago now.
A couple months ago now, yeah.
We all fangirl out over Andy.
Oh yeah, I love Andy.
There's some web show, some like YouTube show where some dude is like interviewing him in the back of a minivan or something, and like I watch that on like repeat sometimes. Like just he is just the coolest ever. And through my, fanship of them, I made friends with Mike Evan, who was like, a frequent collaborator of theirs, and like was on the cruise a couple times, and like Mike and Andy are so similar in some way that it just like I just love all of them. Like it's.
Did any of the band members did you keep all the puppets, or did anyone get to keep theirs? Did they want to keep theirs? Whereas, like, I can imagine, like, they're trying to shove it underneath your shirt. Like, no, you can't have this back.
The funny thing is, so we made the video. The video dropped, and then like maybe 4 weeks later, Steve got arrested.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm sure they could not care less about, the puppets at that point, because 2008 was like not a great year for them.
Yeah.
Like, Steve got arrested, and then Ed crashed his plane, and then Ed's mom died. And, so like that whole year was just a wash. So, and I wasn't trying to take advantage of that, but like, they were supposed to retain the puppets, and they just never, and I think they switched management, like they moved away from a network, so like they just never inquired about getting the puppets back. And I've thought over the years of like reaching out to them, but at this point, like the puppets are like, stiff, and like,
oh my god,
they are adorable.
They're still adorable, but like,
it.
no, they didn't. I've had them this whole time.
Honestly,
to answer your question,
Steve Puppet's my favorite.
Oh, wait, hang on.
It's just my favorite.
The sweater
glasses, the sweater vest, like
it's
just.
So I see in the drawing the sweater vest isn't on there. What that is such a Steve thing. Like,
well, the sweater vest came from that Borders appearance. Like, because, when you're on tour, you just wear pretty much the same thing. Like Ed had that weird, like, leather jacket with the, like, the, dark crystal designs on the elbows or whatever, And so, like, I was like, Steve's in, like, an orange sweater. And so I literally, like, that week, I went to the children's place and found
That's so great.
a sweater vest. I think it was white. And I just hand-dyed it orange.
Wow.
It's just so amazing. Like,
oh my gosh,
I'm so geeking out right now.
So like I don't want to give too much praise, but I have to say, like, you are an amazing puppeteer, because while watching the video and even watching you right now, like the
he just came to life right there.
Yeah, the puppet looks like it is a real live character. The little tiny movements, the little like even in the video, like there's these little spots where the puppet doesn't need to be moving, but it is its own character even when it's not singing, and is doing these little tiny mannerisms. Some of the mannerisms I wrote down, I was like, oh my god, that is such a Steve mannerism that you just did right there. Why? Oh my gosh. Steve is staring at Jim like they would during a concert instead of looking at the screen. Like, it became apparent, one, how much you loved the band and knew the band and the way they interacted on stage. But also just the fact that you were then able to transcribe that onto a film was just awe-inspiring to me.
Well, thank you. A lot of that, I'm going to be completely honest, a lot of that was just the puppeteers that I had were and are like the best I've ever worked with, and they just knew how to. We had one rehearsal the day before, but like my two main puppeteers are on Sesame Street now, and so like they knew how to act with the puppets. Like Steve, for the most part, was played by my friend Stacy. And one tiny thing is this white neck here that you can't see or see in the podcast because it's audio, but was added much later. Like when we shot the video, there was no sleeve here. So like if Stacy had gone like this, and I have some outtakes that I've been watching, like you could just see her wrist because like we were working up until the moment that like somebody came and picked me up for the, for the shoot. My mom at the time said, "This is the first time I've stayed up all night since you were little."
Wow.
Like it. I stayed up for probably 48 hours, and then until we started the shoot, and then I was up for another 20. Like so it was down to the last minute, and I just never got around to making him a neck. And so there was little pieces of elastic connecting his head to his body at the time. But yeah, like the puppeteers that I had, like Stacy and Frankie, were just really good. They know what they're doing, and it just through, I think, hearing the song over and over again, pardon me, they picked up on the natural relationship that the band has with each other. The only thing that I knowingly did that was like a direct reference to something Ed did, I think. Hang on.
This thing.
Yes, that thing. I had seen a video of them talking about making Born on a Pirate Ship, where like I think Ty went out on the balcony and was like just doing this, like out at the city, and so I had Ed do that, like in the rap at the end as it's fading out or whatever.
How did he become a flying squirrel? Because that was like unusual. Like,
how did he become a flying squirrel?
Yeah.
So basically, after the frogs went away, like after it was decided that they weren't going to be frogs, I just sort of looked up what animals would be around in a forest in Canada and just cast it based on who I thought they would want to, who I thought they would be. And like, I knew, let's see, like I made Kevin a possum because Kevin is just weird,
But he's the perfect possum.
I think he would agree.
Yeah.
I think so too, Aaron.
He,
quiet, non-assuming.
Like,
like
all of the videos and like all the interviews I've heard with him, like he just is bizarre, and so like and just brilliant, and I just thought he looked just like a little possum, like. And my cousin knitted this hat for us. I gave her the dimensions of the head, and
I mean, I just need to shout out the amazing team that there's the Noah Ginex Puppet Company, because like your dad made the instruments, right? Am I remembering that correctly?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it really is like a family affair, and
that's cool.
The detail and the attention to every puppet that you create is just next level.
My dad...
Well, I was just going to say, like, you did all of that in 5 weeks?
Something like that. Like, we got to the... All right, let me back up. My dad, at the time, didn't like the name Bare Naked Ladies. Like he, thought he was like, was offended by it, and
I always
still
got questionable looks from my principals in high school when I would wear my Bare Naked Lady shirt.
and still he made a tiny Hofner bass, and he made like the two guitars.
Yeah,
he made an exact replica of the piano that we had in my parents' living room, and he finished it. It was beautiful. And I looked at it and I said, that is too long. And so my dad chopped it in half and like shortened it down and like rearranged the keys so they were all appropriately sized or whatever. Like the amount of work that he did, like Tyler's drum set was like coffee cans and tuna cans, that we went and found like some, textures website and like for like wood grain and printed out a whole bunch of like wood grain and wrapped it around the cans. And the guitars were here. Hang on.
Well, and he did the Snack Time logo on the front of the drum.
Yeah, that was me. I printed that out and put it on. But like this guitar is Steve's guitar from the video, but like it is still good. Like it's foam core that he printed out on photo paper so it would be shiny. This edge piece,
cool.
But like this top is just a printout. Like this bridge is wooden, and these are I think straight pins for the
Oh, okay, I see them.
But like
but you would never think that by watching it in the video,
No,
especially when it was new. Like it was it had been made that week, and the only instrument that already existed was the double bass for Jim, which was just a violin that a friend of mine had stolen from someplace.
Man.
And
full 92 is missing a violin still to this day.
So like I based initially when I made the Wind It Up video, I like based everything around that violin because I was like, Jim's got to have a violin, and I didn't have these puppets yet, so I just cast the band out of whatever characters I already had, and like but I used that the violin, and I used a little miniature electric guitar or whatever, like. And it wasn't until the the video that my dad made all these instruments. My mom stitched the coverings of most of like all the puppets, and like Stacy and my friend Jeremy, who was another puppeteer on the video, like were there with me basically all night before the night before. And then my dad drove them back to where they were staying. Like it was really just a group effort, and it wasn't through anything stronger than me, just like at one point during the video, one of our puppeteers, Amanda, showed up and she looked at me. She was like, "Hey, what do you want me to?" "Oh, you have crazy eyes." and she was like, "I'm going to ask somebody else what I should do." Because, at that point I had been up, for like 57 hours or something.
Oh, man.
You make replica puppet, like a backup puppet, just in case anything happened?
Nope.
That's it. One shot.
Yep.
And were there two Jim puppets? Because I noticed that they switched instruments during.
No, I mean we just unstitched him from the violin and stitched him to the little Hofner bass that he has in the thing. Like, so there were 6 puppets plus the Pollywog.
The Pollywog is great, by the way. We love the Pollywog.
There it is.
Yeah, he's used the logo for your company, right?
It's so cute.
So the logo for my company is another thing. Like months later, I reached out to Jim.
Yeah.
And I said, "Hey, do you mind if I use the beginning of the song for my, production logo?" And he misunderstood me, and he was like, "What's happened? Do you want to change the video somehow?" And I was like, No. I just want to use those 4 notes from the beginning of the, song." And he was like, "Oh, that's fine. Whatever." Like, and so, I have that to credit him for, like the years of, it's, and I shot a puppet version of it, several years later of my production logo that like it just didn't look good, so I didn't want to I wanted it to remain the spotlessness that it is in the original production logo. But this is the Pollywog. Yeah. And his tail is just on a little piece of thread.
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool.
And it was nothing more than this in the video, like literally in front of a blue screen, like me doing this. And somewhere I have, hang on. There's the one shot, Erica's husband Fuzzy and I went to a pond nearby and like got down near the water and shot all this like plate footage, like this stock footage to use of the pond. And there's one shot where the frog is like swimming up out of the water, and it like this is all that existed of that puppet ever. And it was just like me in front of a green screen, doing that. And my hand doesn't even fit all the way into this thing, So it was just like up close like that.
Reaching the shore with the whole world to explore.
Yeah,
exactly. Right.
Wow.
And now if I say those words in front of my daughter, she will go into the whole rap. Yeah. So yeah, it was just this, and
that's great.
How inspired were you? Aaron brought this up when we were doing the song episode. Emmett Otter. Honestly, I'm sure you get that a lot. And like the immediate vision was so Emmett Otter, and from the characterization to the puppets to just their general personas. Was that an inspiration for you?
I'm sure it was. Like the three main featured puppeteers in the video are myself and Frankie and Stacy, and the three of us are all like enormous Henson fans, and so I'm sure it was ingrained in there, and obviously we have an otter, so like I wasn't attempting to mimic that at all, but like it just happened. You build a puppet otter, it's gonna look vaguely
it's a band. It's a band too of
right.
That's true.
That's true. Yeah,
that is true.
But well, can you Noah? Can you hold up Kevin again?
Yeah. The only two that I don't have here are the Fox brothers, because Jim. Sorry, you probably can't hear me. Jim is still stitched to his violin.
Oh yeah.
Because I have, I'll get to that later. But I've done a couple other things with those puppets since then. I can show you that too. So yeah, what were you gonna say?
Oh, just when I saw Kevin's puppet in particular, like for me, Emmett Otter is probably like my favorite Christmas movie of all time, and it just really gave me these warm feelings of nostalgia and like. Look how lifelike he is. That's so cool. Even to this day, that's sorry, I'm having a little bit of like a fan moment here. This is so cool. You can't, I wish the listeners could see the way that he's manipulating Kevin here, and he's so lifelike.
We become children. And Noah, like I don't know. I'm sorry, Aaron. Go ahead. Finish your.
Oh no, not at all. I was just basically saying like. I don't know. Like, is there something? And this is a question for both Kevin and Erica. I know Kevin does most of the. Not Kevin. Jeez, Noah and Erica. I know Noah is doing most of the actual puppeteering here. But like, is there something about the medium of like using puppets to communicate something or to create a story that is just different for you? And what drew you to that specifically?
I'll start by first saying that in Noah's repertoire of his puppets, each character has a very detailed and illustrious backstory, and each character has a relationship with each other. So it's a kind of magical thing to put them in any scenario and to see how they would react in that situation, and then also with each other, how they interact with each other. And because we've done so many shows with these characters, we did a live monthly show for a long time. We've done a lot of web stuff. I mean, it's like an extended family, these different characters, and they each have such a distinct personality. So it's cool to be able to, with the medium of puppets, like, you can do so much more on stage with them because everything is already a little like surreal as it is, and things that humans maybe couldn't do. Like, you know, we can't, you know, fly away on a hot air balloon, but puppets sure can, you know, like on stage. So it's neat to be able to say, okay, let's put these personalities in this situation and see what happens, and how can we make it happen, and how can we take this to the next level with more than what would just exist in this space that we're in right now.
And I'll add to that by saying, I don't know how to do anything else. So this is my way of communicating, and it's all of these characters have such a rich backstory, because like I've created them all, but also then I give them to specific people, and those specific collaborators infuse them with their own personalities, to the point where I've had, you know, when people can't show up for shoots or whatever, others have to fill in, and they'll like put on a puppet and start talking, and I'll just go to them and I'll say, that pig does not sound like that, you know. and somebody else would be like, nobody else knows that, you know. And I'll say, but I do, it's important,
it's
you know,
important.
like if you looked at Homer and he started, you know, talking like this, like that wouldn't be Homer, you know, like Homer has to talk like, you know, like, so it's I don't know if that answers your question at all, but
no, I think those are both wonderful answers. Thank you.
Yeah.
When did you start making puppets and know that was where you could, you know, when did that become your creative outlet? Were you young, in school? Like,
I was 12.
Awesome.
Or 14.
Do you remember your first puppet, like, character's name and like their personality?
Yeah, I still use him. I used him the other day.
Who's your first?
His name is Ferdinand, and I made him out of a piece of mattress foam that I like cut in half, and then I put like a hole in the top for my fingers and a hole in the bottom for my thumb, and, you know, like used duct tape as a hinge. And then my mom has been sewing since she was very little, so like she has a lifetime of sewing experience, and so since 1994 or whatever it was, like, she has been my co-builder on a lot of these, because I will build the internal parts of it, and then I will give it to her, and she will cover them. And, you know, like, it is a collaboration that gonna try not to cry. Once she is unable to do this, I'm not gonna make puppets anymore, because, you know, like, I know how to sew, but I'm nowhere near as good as she is, and I'm certainly not going to ever find the, you know, nonverbal communication that I have with her, because she's my mom, you know, like, and so, and also, like, it just doesn't interest me. Like, when my daughter was born, I had been going through, like, a period of frustration with puppetry in general, and I was so excited when she was born to just sort of stop doing it. And then she was born, and the photographer that came to take her pictures was like, well, hey, where's the puppets? like, let's get some pictures of the baby with puppets, because puppets and a baby, that's adorable. And so I got out one of my pigs and like took this, like, what is now in her life become an iconic picture that we had to repeat then every 6 months or what, like as she was growing. And based on that, people started asking me to build puppets again. And I was like, I was so close to getting out. It's like that Al Pacino line.
Just when I think I'm out, they drag me.
Yeah, right, exactly. And like I'm sure that there's a little bit of drama, like to that, but like to a certain extent, I think we were doing this monthly show that Erica referenced earlier at the time, and that was pretty much it. Like it was everything I was doing was self-produced at that point, and I was tired, and then the fucking puppets like pulled me back in. So anyway, let's go back to talking about bare naked ladies. There's none of this.
I love this.
Yeah, go ahead. No, please.
Sorry, Aaron, you want to go?
No, I was just saying, like, I'm loving this. I think this is fantastic. To me, like, it's not often that I get to talk to people who are involved in this. Like, I am a musician, and I'm a recording engineer, and like, we talk music all the time, and we love bare naked ladies, and we love music. But like, this is an entirely new, like, not new, but like new to me. Like, it's not an art form that I'm nearly as familiar with, and it's fascinating. So like, I want to hear I could talk puppets all night.
And
yeah, go ahead.
I'm staring at your puppet page right now, and and there's such beauty and love in each of them, and the character, and they just speak to me. I'm looking at the dog, the little brown dog, and the little pig, and I'm in love with that. Like, it's just, but I'm a music teacher, and I've taught music, now I teach at the collegiate level, but I taught elementary and high school music, and for 22 years, and now college. And I had a puppet. The power of puppets, I don't think, can be underestimated. So there's this woman in New York who, she makes stuffed animals called Frankenstuffs, and she takes different pieces of discarded stuffed animals and recreates them. So you could, like, the head of a lion and the body of a monkey, and beautiful. And when I met her at a craft fair, and she had a puppet that his name was Miles. All of them had names, and it was the only puppet she had. And I bought him, and he had like monkey arms, and like, he was all just different things. And I kept him in my room, my high school music classroom. These are high school band course. I taught everything. And he sat on my desk, and the kids would put their hand, high school kids, they became somebody else when you put the puppet on their hand. And Miles felt, because he was made up of all of these mixed things, like, we all have these weird quirks, and some of us are quirkier than others, and some of us are missing parts, and some of us have been, we have a lot of scars, and for some reason they were transformed. And I've seen it also at the elementary level, where if you have a kid sitting in the circle and they're afraid to sing, they are not afraid to sing when you put a puppet on their hand, because they really truly feel that it's the puppet singing and not them. So the fear and so there have been a dear friend of mine, Heidi, another Heidi, actually it's my husband's first wife, Heidi. We're very close. We do musical theater together in the summer and everything. She's a brilliant director, and she is a librarian, and she has a deep affection for puppets, and she uses them constantly in her library class. She's an elementary school librarian. And the power in puppetry, again, I can't even, it's mesmerizing to me at how it brings kids out of their shells. It changes their lives. It gives them alternate personalities. It gives them a voice for kids that don't have voices. And so I would never underestimate the power, I'm gonna get teary, of what you and Eric have done in the video, and bringing another letting puppets speak and sit, like it's just magical to me. It's why when you go see Avenue Q, you don't even really notice
Right.
Right.
Cape Monster. And my best friend just played Cape Monster not long ago. I was like, Jen, I forgot you were on the stage.
Yeah.
Then
Mhm.
Cape Monster, like it's such a magical and we grew up. I mean, I was born in 74. I grew up with Jim Henson and Sesame Street and the
Mhm.
show, and that it was, again, I there's no other word for it for me except for magical. Like it transforms you. And
Well, and to build on that, hey,
I can't, like,
think,
I just can't. I get so choked up when I'm looking at these puppets and thinking they're transforming people.
So when I was lucky enough to know Carol Spinney.
Oh my God. Have you seen the documentary on
Yeah,
Carol?
I helped. I mean, I contributed to funding it.
It was beautiful. I cry every time. Sorry.
So at one point early in Big Bird being Big Bird, he like Carol would fully admit that he was clumsy and he did not know, he was uncoordinated, and there was a scene that came up where Big Bird had to dance, and he was getting really upset because he couldn't dance, and he was like, he went to one of the other puppeteers, Richard Hunt, and he said, what am I gonna do? Like, I can't dance. And Richard said to him, okay, you can't dance, but maybe Big Bird can, and he got in the suit, and he suddenly, admittedly, he only had to dance as well as a 6-year-old bird could dance, but like, puppets are magical, and like the entire reason that puppets are used in like pediatrics is because somebody noticed in the waiting room in like 1970 or something, a kid who was probably at the time, they didn't understand about autism, or like was nonverbal, and was sitting in the waiting room watching Bert and Ernie on screen and talking to the puppets on the screen. And one of the doctors were like, go and buy some puppet. Like, so they went and like bought some, like hand puppets at the store. And that is why now, pediatricians will sometimes use hand puppets because, seeing I visited the Sesame set like years and years ago, and like you see like a full grown person underneath the puppet, and as soon as they put, like you get this, and you just like see those eyes, just as soon as they come into view, you focus on that, and like you don't even notice the person's sitting next to them and whatever. It is magic. And
well, and building on that, like when I went and saw Avenue Q I think I saw that one in Las Vegas, but the puppets themselves are non-expressive. They're just an open, closed mouth. You would never imagine that after you've walked out throughout that performance, because the actors behind are standing to the side and they're doing all the facial expressions, and our minds automatically bring in whatever facial expression the actor is doing and portray it and put it onto the front of that puppet. Like during the performance, I could have sworn that the puppets were expressive, and then afterwards, my wife's like, "No, they weren't." And when they came out for their bows, I was like, "Oh my gosh, you're right. They just moved their mouths up and down. Like, holy cow!"
And to that point, like sometimes in movies they will add like CG blinks and things to puppets, and it always looks a little strange because like it's not supposed. You just like.
Right.
The puppet
we accept
is
the puppets for who they are.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You were going to say something, Erica.
Yeah, one of my favorite examples of the magic of puppets was with C2E2. I forget the kid's name, the teenager. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No. Oh wait,
So
somebody had been there.
the brother. So we had this other show that was a game show that ran for a really long time with a different company.
Vince.
And Vince, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so it was these like two teens. This mom would bring her two teens with them, and the younger was very like boisterous and outgoing and interactive, and the older one was very quiet and stoic and never really engaged. And we got to know them over all their times coming to the show. And then we were doing C2E2 here in Chicago, the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo, and Noah and another one of our puppeteer partners, Adam, were like walking around doing like, you know, puppet interacting to the people that were there. And they ran into this kid and started talking to him as a puppet. And he lit up, pulled out his backpack, pulled out a puppet, and he had one with him. And then it was like, our relationship with this kid was totally different ever since then. And we like had him like shadow our Snorf. Like he would come and like come to the monthly shows, and like we would try to engage with him, but it was like we didn't have the right way to communicate with him until Noah talked to him with a puppet, and then there it was.
And now he is one of my close friends. That's why I didn't realize who we were talking about, because I forgot that's how we met him, you know. But like he has, because of that, relationship, he has since, you know, like we go on the local news every now and again, and like he has been with us there several times, you know, like puppeteering, and like he, it all came because of that, like it and that, like, in the moment was truly magical to watch, because we were just walking around entertaining ourselves and trying to like get anybody to talk to. And I think my puppet had like a Chewbacca bandolier on, and Vince's sister was dressed like Chewbacca or something. So we went over to talk to her just because they were dressed this, you know, and it's like, it's a Comic-Con. So you're looking for anything to, you know, latch onto. And then Vince, you know, pulled out all this stuff, and I was like, oh my God, like, let's talk to you, you know?
Where did you and Erica, how did you meet? Where did you guys meet?
Oh,
great question.
So I was in the improv world for a long time here in Chicago, and through that, I made friends with this guy named Fuzzy, who then started dating Erica, and then they got married, and like pretty soon after I met Erica, I think I went to a party at your house or something, and like I noticed that you had a bunch of Bare Naked Lady CDs.
Well, also what it was, I remember actually the night that we did meet is because I was obsessed. My brother and I are obsessed with Dog City. We have the whole thing memorized from the Jim Henson Hour, and so I started dating Fuzzy and was talking about Dog City, and he'd never seen it. And I was like, oh my God, it's the greatest, you know, hour of television ever made. And then he's like, you need to meet my friend Noah. And I remember we were like at a bar, and Fuzzy was like, here. And then we like geeked out on Dog City. That's right. And then that you were like, oh wait, Bare Naked Ladies.
Wait, like, was that at the bar across from the on Lincoln, right? Across from the old playground?
Yeah, across from the old playground.
Yeah.
One of those.
But so there was like those two very different specific moments, but like one that like sticks out like a sore thumb in my memory is I was doing promotional work for I think TED Airlines or something. And we were driving around in this converted ice cream truck in downtown Chicago, like handing out popsicles and beads to people. And at the time, Erica was in the same part of the downtown area, dressed as a meter maid.
Yeah, I was doing a different promotional gig, handing out tickets to an event at Soldier Field or something.
Yeah. And so from my point of view, this guy, I think Marshall, was that his name or something like that?
Yeah, that sounds right. I don't
Yeah.
remember. I should remember. Yeah.
So there was no door on the side of the ice cream truck. And so he's driving along. And he says, I'm going to pick somebody up. And we're like, what? And then he leans out his door and hooks Erica with his arm. And she just comes up into the truck with him. And you take it from here, because that's what I saw.
He was a friend and coworker of mine. We worked at Second City together. I wasn't just randomly getting scooped up from weird drivers of ice cream trucks, but I bailed on my promotional gig to join in on theirs for a little while. And boy, I mean, the early 2000s was just a time ripe for improvisers to wander around and hand people things on the street. Because that's how I got a lot of my paychecks.
I think there was another promo that I did for Buick where I was dressed like Tiger Woods, and Rebecca Hansen was on that one. That's where I first met her, Erica.
And Rebecca Hansen of Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Oh, all right.
Tie that in. She's GPC. Mm-hmm.
So keep name dropping. We're good.
And so, yeah, it was a crazy time, but we met.
I mean, one time we were doing a promo gig for Shout, the detergent, and we were wearing sweatsuits that spelled out shoutitout.com, and we had to stand in this specific order so that it would say shoutitout.com
and not something else.
It was so ridiculous. We would just stand outside of the news being recorded, hoping that all of us in our big white sweatsuits were going to get picked up. So then when we were moving from gig to gig, walking around, we would try to scramble it so that our words would spell stuff out on the backs of us. We were big fans, but, in Shout It Out, you got tit right there. So that was a never-ending humor for all of us. The tits, we would just wander up and be like, what? We're not in our formation?
Oh,
anyway, so then we just became, the best of friends, and we worked together, and I directed for a while. The puppet company was doing improv shows, and Fuzzy was puppeteering in those, and I got to direct it, and then we shifted into this monthly sketch show that we did for, I don't remember how long, well over a couple years.
It was 2 years.
2 years, which coming up with all new material and building all new, my back into the head thing was, let's try to give Noah as little work as possible in this time period, and Noah would come to everything being like, how can I make this as hard on myself as I can? Here's what we have, and he's like, or I could create this giant, yada yada. So
was that Snorf?
Yeah, that was Snorf.
Mm-hmm. The Saturday afternoon Monster and Piggy / comedy variety show.
Yeah.
Which is an anagram in there somewhere.
I can do it.
The cast would write all new sketches. We would rehearse in my dining room and then, put it up. And the first time we really put it, in the actual spacing of the show would be the performance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wild.
It was, and I will add, just as a further tangent, this was the, I don't know, 7th project that Erica and I did together. Probably the first being the Pollywog in a Bog video, but Erica married my wife and I, and was the doula when we had our baby. So there was a long period of time where if I was going out of the house, it was probably to have some sort of meeting with Erica. And much like the Pollywog in a Bog still being fresh after 20 hours, there was never a period in there where I did not want to go and do that. I was always excited to go and humans get grumpy, but it would only ever be because of whatever the material was, and
yeah.
So
and it was always out of love,
absolutely.
Wanting the best product and wanting to see each other succeed. I just want to see Noah succeed. That's all I want, really. Yeah, it's a great friendship, and we've had a great working relationship, but ultimately it's a really strong, great friendship.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. So knowing that you were both huge BNL fans, so we know that Noah emailed the band and got a response like shockingly fast.
Yeah.
What was your reaction? Like, how did you break the news to Erica? And Erica, what was your initial response upon hearing it? That we're going to do a music video for BNL.
I don't know if I really remember. I think, at this point, I'm definitely not surprised at all over anything. At the time, I probably was some surprised. But after the Wind It Up video, which was so awesome because we were like, oh my gosh, there's your people in this video. Now I'm certain that it was probably like, oh, I'm going to email them. And we were like, yes, you should definitely do that. Especially if Fuzzy was like, what do you have to lose?
Right.
So then I'm sure we probably weren't surprised that it was a yes, because the quality of work is so good. And we knew we could do it.
And also, like, I'll add to that like Fuzzy's personality just in general, like when I said I'm thinking about doing this, what do you think? His response was probably like, great, do it, you know. And then 10 minutes later I emailed back and said, okay, I did it, and he said, great, that's great, let's see what they say. And then 10 minutes after that they responded like, with an affirmative, and I was like, they said yes, and he probably said, great, let's figure out how to do it.
How we're gonna do it.
Like,
that's a great attitude to have.
I mean, that's
that's the way to do it.
And even throughout like the Snorf, this other show that we would do, like we would be rehearsing in their dining room and like mulling over something, and Fuzzy, doing his own completely unrelated, just life stuff in the other room, would sometimes overhear us and just come in and like offer this like pearl of wisdom that would like fix, whatever it was that we were doing. And then he would go back to, his own thing. And like, that in itself was like, was brilliant. Like,
just to give his full name is Fuzzy Curtis. We haven't said his last name yet. Yeah. He's a brilliant filmmaker, brilliant performer. We met doing improv together. He and I have done a million shows together. Just a really all around amazing human being. And I'm the luckiest person in the world because I get to share my life with him. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
And when we were on set, he was, so we shot digitally, and so whenever they would finish like a card or whatever, I don't know what the media was, but like they would give him all of the footage, and he was just basically sitting there all day on set, like cataloging all this stuff and just like putting it all on a computer and everything. And so by the time we got back to their apartment, like, I think 4 days later or something, like I took a little break. It was all there, like in a folder ready for me to work on. And like, it would not have gotten done without these two. They
storyboarded the video.
Ha, that's very funny. I can show you the storyboards. They do not match the video at all, because I had a very specific, I worked for days to like down to the beat, like storyboard, because I'm a musician and I'm a filmmaker. And so like I storyboarded out all this whole like narrative. I built props, for it and everything, and showed up to the set, and I had emailed them the day before, like 2 days before, and I said, great, so like which shot are we doing first? And the director hadn't shown the storyboards to any of the crew. And so we basically just had to shoot B-roll for the entire day. And like the reason it took 20 hours is because we just shot performance footage. Unless I specifically said, okay, I want to do this little vignette, like it was all just sweeps back and forth over the band playing. And, that could have created like, maybe that's where some of the magic came from, is just like watching this band, like just playing instruments, kind of like Emmett Otter, maybe that's why it looks like that, because they're just a band playing together. But like that, I had a shot where Ed like jumped out of a tree and like landed, and yeah, like and you see like just the tail end of that, like when he comes in for the rap, like you see him land, but like I had had him like launching off of a branch and was gonna like float down because he's a big flying squirrel, like and like and we just didn't use any of that because the crew just didn't know to do it, and so they just knew how to shoot music videos, and so we shot stuff like that.
Well, and that makes there's this one piece in the video, it makes it all the more special, like where the line is that he knows not where he's from, and you have the tadpole going from one person to the next, and you can tell, like, even though there's no words going on, like he's asking, like, where am I from? Where am I from? And each of them going, I don't know.
That
like
tadpole was built. So I took some of this green foam and that was built on a like a surgical tool, like a little tiny forceps clamp that like it looks like a scissors, and when you open and close it, just the tail end just goes beep 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 beep, And so I just like taped it around the edge of this, and it's me hiding, under the frame, just going beep beep with the like the little tail end of it, and I think it was me just going, okay, like look at him, and then shake your head, and then like motion over that way or whatever, and because like we just didn't have it. I think that was probably shot wild. Like I don't think we probably were even like rolling sound on that, or like doing playback on that or anything. And that's what we had to do. Like for much of the video was just to get little shots like that. I will say there's one shot at the tail end of the video, and I edited it so it looked like it was in time with the music. But Steve smacks Jim in the face with his wing, like at one point, and that happened because it was probably like 9:00 at night or something, and we're doing this shot, and because it took so long to like set up and stuff, we would just like be hams with the puppets and just be doing whatever. And the fox, I was doing a Bill Cosby impression, with the and which is not great now, but at the time. And Stacy in the owl was literally hitting me in the face with the wing, going, I have sweat in my eyes, let's go, I want to get this over, like. And so in the video it goes like boom boom and like it's him hitting the fox in the face. Like so many of those moments I see, and I remember exactly what we were doing in those moments on set. It was
sorry, I've been sucked into your website and looking at your caricatures and your paintings and your logos. Tin Tracy, a caricature of the Bare Naked ABC crew would be a good idea to commission. Like your work is just amazing. Like there's again, giant rabbit hole. I just keep looking at more amazing things.
Well, that brings me to one of the rabbit holes that I went down this week, which these guys know I love to give a nice transition to the next week. I'm going to do it early for 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from now, everyone, we're going to be discussing, or no, actually, we'll be recording. It's a month from now for the people listening. We'll be discussing a song that you also then did another video for that Ed recently also posted up. Can you talk a little bit about that?
The Rabbit and the Resurrection?
Yes.
That was great fun. That obviously I knew the song, and like I, had this rabbit character that was from Snorf as in addition to other things. And like another friend of ours named Arnie is also a huge Bare Naked Ladies fan. And I went to him much the same way. I went to him and I said, hey, I'm thinking of doing this, cover of this Bare Naked Ladies song. And I sent it to him and he was like, great. What do you want me to do? And so like it's him playing the guitar, and like he came over to my house and like played the piano part. And I have a keyboard and I play piano okay, but I'm not great at it. And like I set him up to record, and he went through like the song once, and I was like, cool, do you want to lay it down? And he said, did you record that? And I said, yeah. And he said, okay, that's it. And I listened back to it, and it was perfect. He at one point we did the local news with my main puppet character Jameson, where Jameson was we had done an appearance where the co-anchor was playing piano, and like the puppets were all lined up on the piano, like the Muppets would, but she couldn't play piano, and she didn't know what she was doing. Were you there for this, Erica?
I don't know.
It was like You Light Up My Life or something, and
I don't think I was for that one.
Robin Baumgartner like could not play piano, and so Arnie was one of my puppeteers that day, and I said to him, "Hey, do you think you could play blind?" And he said, "Probably." And so he put on Jameson's hands and got under the piano and played the song perfectly, for having gloves on. And we ended up not using that. So I was like, this is too good an opportunity to pass up. So I remembered the old, John Denver and the Muppets Christmas album, and I called, WGN or emailed them, and I said, hey, can we come and do Christmas this year? I have an idea for a song. And the producer there, Jeff Hoover, is an amazing producer. I'm going way off track here. And he always just is like, yeah, whatever you want to do, you do great stuff. And so I had Arnie get into Jameson's hands, and like we were wearing like black velvet bunny suits, so you couldn't see us at all. And like he got under the piano and played blind, and I, sat my elbow on his head and did this like perfect little like Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas, and so when it came time for the Rabbit and the Resurrection, I knew instantly that, I want to put Arnie in everything I do from, for the rest of time. And he played the guitar and he played the piano and he music directed the whole thing. And he's friends with like this, like, amazing, like has to like interrupt a gig to go play for the Dalai Lama bass player, like this, like this amazing upright bass player who played that, bass track. And to Arnie's credit, he said to him, okay, I want you to do 2 takes on this. 1, where you just play it straight, and 2, where you throw in every like ham bone, double bass player showing off hook that you can, just every lick that, and so he did those 2. And this guy, Kurt Schweitz, is such an amazing bass player that he did them and they were both perfectly in time. And so we just, like cut back and forth between the 2 takes, and I am a drummer, so I like put a little drum thing on there, and it was this perfect acoustic track, because I think originally they did it at like a radio station or something. Like there's a recording of the band playing it, where they're like, we're going to play this once and then never play it again, And so like we couldn't use that track because the sound level is not great because, it's a radio station or whatever. And so we had this perfect little track, and then I sang on it, and Arnie sang on it, and my friend Jen sang a couple parts, because, as Erica said earlier, all of these characters that I have, they have their own personality. So if the pig is going to be in the video, regardless of whether my friend Jen is there or not, she has to do the voice of the pig, Yeah. And so we shot that. That one was very heavily storyboarded. And because everything I do is, or, tries to be. And the funny little side thing, like as we were going through it, I, do all my storyboards, in marker or whatever. And then when I get finished with the shot, I just cross them out and move on to the next thing. And like Jen, who plays the pig, like, stop. She's like, what are you why are you crossing those out? And I'm like, because we're finished with the shot. She said, yeah, but that's art. You're like drawing over this amazing. I'm like, there's a great Victor Borga moment on the Muppet Show where like he does something very trivial and Fozzie's like, that's amazing. And, Victor Borga is like, oh, if you think that's great, you should come by and watch me tie my shoes, like, and to that, like this little, storyboard drawing is like, okay.
Right. What's a utility to one person is gold to
exactly.
somebody.
Yeah. And, I'm sure there are many things that she does and that, anybody does that. Like, I'm like, how do you do that? But so, we got through shooting that and then I edited it and I just put it up. And I think either that year or the next year, like Ed, reposted it or retweeted it or something. And I think he was on Facebook like himself for like 5 minutes or something. And I have a screenshot somewhere of like Ed himself posting it. And then like Arnie commenting like, it's so amazing that you posted. And then Ed liked that comment or something. And so like, it's this amazing, like, Inception, screen grab of like Ed liking the comment. Anyway. And so like, that's how that happened. And, this year I was in Michigan with my family and for Easter, and we were driving back and I looked at my phone and Bare Naked Ladies, I think Ed just runs the Instagram account himself. Like the Instagram account had posted the video and like tagged me in it, and it was only then that I remembered that it was Easter and that I should repost the video. I was like, oh, right. It's, it's time for that again. But yeah, like that, I am as obsessed with that video as I am with Pollywog in a Bog. Like I watch it all the time just because the people in it made it so good, Mm-hmm. And there have been other things that I did around the time of Pollywog. I did like a camera test in my parents' bathroom of I Can Sing, I think, which I don't know that I ever put out anywhere. And then a couple years ago, before the pandemic, I did Everything Had Changed with the puppets. I did live, which I like shot a little rehearsal video. I don't know if you want to see it.
We want to see all the things.
Yeah, please.
I was just going to say, like,
all
hang
the
on,
things.
let's see.
I have to ask.
I could watch like every song done by B&L done with puppets.
Hang on, let me.
Not that you have time for that, but
Right. I mean, I don't want
We
to.
want links. We want we want to absorb.
Let me see if I can find it real fast. And Erica, if you are you good on time? Also,
I
don't
might have to hop off in a bit because of all of my batteries draining and having no other place. Yes.
I do have to get my son to bed soon.
Yeah. So I'll show you this,
But
and then we can
I'll
wrap
stay.
up.
He can stay up late. Like he's cool.
Let me see if I can find it.
Also, we
Mommy
do have
loves you.
photos that I can send through Noah of the when we got to meet the band at the Borders. We do have photos of that encounter just to share. So we can send over that link.
I've seen the one picture of the guys with their puppets, but not all of their puppets were done. Like we have that one picture that's out there that
okay.
But
there's a couple more from that session. So
that'd be great.
Yeah.
That is such an unfortunate photo for me because I am wearing a shirt which I did not realize at the time came about like an inch and a half above my pants. Like you just see like my t-shirt tucked in underneath it, and like it just looks. I look ridiculous. Trying to cover. I only put that sweater on to cover over the fact that I was wearing like a Bare Naked Ladies Are Men tour shirt that I had had on for like 4 days or whatever. Just so I wouldn't look, like the super geek that I was. Yeah, like
I can't help how you look, Noah.
I can't. Like
we all know.
I will say, like in that moment, while they were taking that picture that you've all seen, like Ed is standing there with, and it was 7 days before we shot the video, so the puppets weren't finished, and Ed just like he has this squirrel, he's just like, "Hey Noah, where's my fucking eyes?" And Kevin immediately the possum just goes, "Yeah, you should give him some eyes and take away his mouth," and like. The whole day they were just like ragging on each other, and it was brilliant. Like Jim was, dutifully holding up the little Andy puppet and everything, and like that all of their personalities shone completely in that moment. Like Ty was very sarcastic, but also very like reverential to the puppets, and like all of them are so sweet.
What a great moment in memory.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
It was great. All right, here I have the. Let me show this real fast.
When Steven lifts his wing and he kind of does that, and then he comes. Oh my god!
I should have had him adjust them with one finger.
That is such a Steven move. We just saw him a few weeks ago. He did that.
I think Steven would get a kick out of watching this.
He would love that.
And out of all the guys, like so far, he has been the most responsive.
Too good not to share with the world. I love Tyler's got the inward snaps, like he's in West Side Story.
Yep.
The Sharks and the Jets. That was really cool. You should definitely send that to the band.
Oh my gosh.
My closest confidant outside of my wife, her birthday was the night that they reunited on the Junos, and I was at her birthday party, and I was like, I have to go outside, I'll be back in 10 minutes. And I went outside, and I was sitting on my phone in March or whatever it was, like on the street, like looking at my phone. I was like, just like watching and like sobbing inside, watching them, them sing together, and like that the reunion was a magical moment that I knew was like fraught with like all kinds of drama around it, but also was never gonna happen again. So I was like, I have to watch every second of this, and Ed or Steve like going over and leaning on the piano and just like gazing longingly at Andy, like it's just these 6, 7 with Chris Brown, like guys just mean so much to me, So I'm really glad that you had me on this podcast, because it.
Are you kidding? We're just so glad. That you
I never get to talk this much, about
it's gonna make me go back and listen to all the albums, and like tomorrow I'll just cry. I'll be listening and crying, weeping with joy.
Well, our podcast does a breakdown of every song alphabetically. And how many episodes are we up to, Tracy?
220. This one will be 220.
Right.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
And it'll be released next week.
What song is next? Let's see. Peterborough and the Kawarthas? Or did you already do that?
No, we did that.
We did that one. So this episode will come out after the episode for Pollywog and a Bog. So the follow-up to that would be P.O.
Gotta be.
I don't think it's Psycho Killer. It's the one before Psycho
What was
Killer.
before? Oh, wait. I have and the one thing I didn't have to do this week is the musical breakdown. Aaron and I got a break this week. Normally
you did
music analysis. So we do, no, it would be Powder Blue. Powder Blue.
Yep.
and then Psycho Killer. So I have a little notebook where I have all of the key changes, the tempo, the beats, like everything. Aaron and I break it down.
Is Psycho Killer from Buck Naked? Is that? Yeah.
It is.
I'm
we
Steve,
do all the deep dives.
And I'm Ed. This my daughter would slay me if I didn't tell this. She and I have recently obsessed over Roadrunner. Like we last summer we drove to
that'll be coming
an
up
amusement
in a few
park up in the suburbs, and like every trip to Six Flags, like we just listened to all of the live versions of Roadrunner that there are, just to get like, Tyler's weird, like improvs in there, like their improvs. I know maybe better than the actual songs. Like I sing the Jedi verse in 1 week. Like every time I hear that song, like it's just yeah. I could go on for way too long. You should have me back.
Anytime.
It was an honor and a pleasure talking to both of you.
You pick a song that you want to geek out on. You let us know.
Please, please.
Absolutely, yes. Come back and talk. We just talked song for an hour and a half. We go on a lot of tangents. We talk about the lyrics, the analysis, weird stuff, the Weird Al. We find they might be giants somewhere.
I mean,
best time.
When you get to you, I might be interested in Uncle Elwin.
Yes.
You got it. It's yours.
He's about maybe 45, 55, 60.
Uncle Elwin.
So, by the way, I'm so glad we're doing this episode tonight, because I kind of needed a little pick me up, and I rewatched the video in preparation for the episode, and that really cheered me up. So, thank you, both Noah and Erica, for your work on that. It's been a real mood lifter.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Of course. Yeah. But I wanted to, before I forgot, I wanted to ask, so you had mentioned that you were at one point doing a live show regularly. Do you have any shows or projects or anything coming up that you'd like to let people know about? Where can they reach you for more information, et cetera, et cetera?
I don't. I don't think I'm doing anything.
I mean, that's fair.
I would say
check out the website.
There's a lot of videos online. Like, there's a lot of really great archive material and special one-off videos that the Puppet Company's done that is available to watch.
The puppets are on Instagram and on YouTube and on Facebook.
Nice. Yeah, I found the YouTube channel.
And like next time I do anything with some significance, I will post it somewhere. Like especially through the pandemic, like we brought Snorf back for like 11 weeks, I think, during the first part of the pandemic, but like we took a monthly show and did it once a week, and after 11 weeks we burned out on it. And like it took off for the 4th of July and then never came back to it, because we were like, especially what was happening right around, right around that time. Like we were just like, we do not have the power or the wherewithal, and it is not our place to heal the world right now, and so that was sort of the last thing. My cat is tearing up everything, that we did. And there are some projects in the works that like I don't really want to talk about yet, but like as soon as they are made known, I will, let people know about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, let us know, and we will post that as well. We will let people know. Definitely recommend going out and looking at all those videos and songs and everything that's on the YouTube, as well as the regular web page. I spent a good part of my lunch today really enjoying that, as well as throughout the week. What about you, Erica? Do you have anything that you would like to plug?
The only thing I have to plug is that if you're in the Chicago area, She's Crafty is playing Midsummer Fest at Andersonville on Saturday, June 11th at 5:30 p.m. on the center stage. And it's going to be a family-friendly show, so the curses are going to be edited out by ourselves. No. Things that we're not going to get it together. But yeah, and our website is she'scraftyshy.com. So we'll be posting other upcoming shows, and then we tour around the Midwest.
Awesome. And y'all have been in like
there
was a documentary or something about MCA, right? That you guys were like, never mind.
We went to the Beastie Boys Story taping in New York, and were interviewed afterwards by Lance Bangs, which didn't make it into the Apple TV edit. But we're hoping that if they do release a special edition DVD, that they will include some of it. And I'm a huge Jackass fan, so I was geeking out about Lance Bangs the whole time. And it was 3 a.m. in the morning. We were like, we're so tired. Let's talk to this camera. Yeah, worth it. No regrets.
Awesome.
Well, thank you guys so much for being willing to do this, for joining us.
Such a pleasure to have you on the show. So great to meet you both.
Well, thank you. It was so nice meeting you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, everybody.
See you.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks, that was fun. Don't forget, no regrets, except maybe one.
To celebrate joining Pantheon Podcasts, Rock Camp, the podcast, the official podcast of Rock and Roll Fantasy Camp, is giving away a guitar signed by Mike Portnoy of Dream Theater, Marty Friedman, formerly of Megadeth, and legendary shredder Zakk Wylde, plus our rockstar counselors like Vinny Appice, Monty Pittman, and more. To enter to win, simply follow, rate, and review our podcast on your preferred platform, and that's all you have to do. For more information, go to rockcamp.com/podcast.